Hello, good morning. It's the Sunday Stroll. Some new gloves because my other ones were wearing through where the palm of the hand was. All the fabric was pulling apart, so I needed to get some new ones. So we're field testing them today, see what they're like. The little pole's still there. Interesting. So, this will be my last Sunday stroll before Christmas. And I think this is number 12. I think it is. I'll figure it out when I get home. And I'll look at my computer. Speaking of which, I think I may have found what's been causing the issue with my computer. Having issues sometimes starting up. I think it's the power supply unit or the power cord. Yesterday it did the thing where it tried to boot up and then restarted, tried again, and then the power went out, and it goes out for a while. You have to unplug everything, leave it for a bit and plug it back in, and then it boots up just fine. Well, I did that yesterday, and the power cord at the back was firmly in place. I always make sure it is when I plug it back in. And I was cleaning around, the computer was on and I was cleaning around behind it, and the power went out and the computer had a crackle. So all I'd done was lightly touch the cable, just moved it slightly while I was cleaning a bit of dust from underneath it, and it had a crackle and the power went out and the computer. So I'm thinking that it's the power cable or the power supply, a loose contact on the power supply. So what I'm going to do is see how it goes. The cheapest option, first of all, is to get a new power cable. Failing that, I'll have to get a new power supply. I'll get a good one. Because if at some day I do decide or do have the ability to upgrade my graphics card, I want to make sure that I've got a power supply unit that can handle. That said, I think it's the top power supply unit that's in it. Oh, actually, I didn't need to do that today. This, it needs to dodge behind the post. It's drying up. Would you look at that? It's drying up. So, yeah, bit of a tree though. I'm going to see how it goes, and then obviously there's something going on there because that shouldn't happen. But I suspect it might be the power supply unit itself, but it might be a broken wire or a damaged wire inside the power cord, because it comes out of the computer then goes at a 90-degree angle, and it's not a particularly flexible power cable. That has to be said. Tramps have still left the crap there. Lovely. So we'll see. But it switched on first time this morning, no problems. So we will see. I can't believe how quickly this past year's gone. It's been a bit mad for me. Been a tough one. It was a tough end to the year last year and a tough start this year, health-wise. But we're not going to dwell on that. We're going to look at this squirrel. What in the hell are you carrying? What do you got there? Oh, it's weird. Very weird. Anyway, you get to the park, see how it is. I'm hoping if that's dried up a bit, that the park's dried up a bit too. That'd be nice. Yeah. I'll catch you at the park. I'll do my little turn around. I looked off into the distance. Yeah, I'll see you in the park. Alrighty. This looks promising. This looks good. For the first time in days. There's no water here. Which is weird how the water gathers here, because just looking at this path, it does curve off. We've got a little bit up there, but that should be. Oh no. No, it's not. We're in business. We can get round here. Marvel moose. Alright. So, all this was underwater on Friday. It's quite deep. It's completely passable. Still got a fair bit on the sides though, but that's okay. No football here today. That's even better. So we can do this here today because the gardens that I come to sometimes on a Sunday stroll are going to be bad. We saw in last week's they're already fencing off certain parts, and of course that was a week ago when we had all of this heavy rain, persistent heavy rain that will have made it even worse. It wouldn't actually surprise me if they haven't shut them gardens down, to be honest. Anyway, bit of business to go through. Obviously, going into this Christmas week and New Year, walkie-talkies are probably going to be a little bit infrequent. I don't want to tell you when I'm going to do them, because that's just going to depend on doing stuff with the family and what have you. That's going to be the driving force behind what we're doing. Weather as well. So I'll do walkie-talkies when I can, and the Sunday stroll. This is obviously the last one before Christmas, but hopefully I can do one in the new year. Hopefully I can do one in the Sunday after Christmas. We'll just see. The weather's difficult to predict at this time of the year. Even the weather forecasters have been struggling with it. A few berries on that bush there. only a few, but the squirrels have robbed, between the squirrels and the birds in this place, well, they've probably stripped a lot of the berries off it. But yeah, I'm going to play it by ear, because I've not done this before at this time of the year. So I just want to sort of say in advance it might be a bit haphazard, but there will be stuff. What I need to do is also get recording more footage from my Doom 2016 playthrough. I have 2 videos so far, and that's all I've got left in the tank. It's been a couple of weeks now since I've recorded any footage, so at some point I need to get that done, and I can crack on with Doom Eternal, and then get eventually around to Doom the Dark Ages. I think there'll be another new Doom game out before I get around to that. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll just play it by ear. We'll see how we go. But yeah, it's been one. I did my video on Friday talking about the C64 Ultimate. And a good comment from somebody. I think he was the only person that commented, actually. Just saying that it was worth it to them, and that's the thing. These things are always going to be down to the individual. Value of things is always individualistic. What's overpriced to one is great value to another. You just have to go with what you like and you want. But yeah, my hope is going into the new year is that I'll have more topics, gaming wise, certainly more topics to talk about. It's been a bit tricky coming into the latter parts of this year. Refocusing, like I say, covering more indie games in my walkie-talkies is something that, it's going to take time to build on that. I can't just start doing it from having not done it at all, or having only done it a little bit. Having only, it's not like I've only just started playing them, but there's a difference between playing them and actually sort of playing something with a view to talking about it. One of the things that for me is important, I want to talk about how games make me feel rather than any kind of technical guff. One of the things about gaming nostalgia, one of the things about that is it's how it makes you feel, as opposed to any sort of whoa bird. You've just been dive bombed by a blackbird then. As opposed to the more sort of sterile scientific approach. I like to talk about how things make me feel. Now I know my Sunday strolls have usually been the reserve of non-gaming stuff. But today, because it's the last one before, the last Sunday stroll before Christmas, for me, talking about gaming and Christmas is almost inseparable at this time of the year for me. A lot of my gaming memories do stem from gaming in and around Christmas time, whether it be getting games for Christmas or consoles or computers. There's a pattern for me there. It was only in the more recent years when I was working in a decent job, a decent paid job, that I could go out and buy consoles and what have you, without there being a tie-in to a Christmas. I mean, I didn't get any for birthdays. I got games, but never a device, never a computer or console. Never. It was always Christmas. And, it was never thousands of pounds. Oh, hello, doggy. A lovely Dalmatian. So it was always sort of divided up that way. So, it's very difficult to separate. I mean, the very first computer I got, my VIC-20, I got for Christmas. And then I sort of, after that, my Commodore 64. That was a Christmas present. And quite often a lot of the games, my PlayStation was a Christmas present. And then I remember getting, I got Doom and the Striker football game with that year. And then with Christmas money, I went and bought Wipeout and Loaded, Destruction Derby, Ridge Racer. I got that. So, yeah, it was. There is a very, very strong link between that and Christmas for me. And as I get in the games, I got Tomb Raider. I'm getting the 2 Final Fantasy 7 games this year, which I know they're not brand new, but they've been games I've had an eye on for a while. Final Fantasy 7 was really the only JRPG that I could get into. So, it's not bad. I think, well, it's not bad. It's like just staying in with all of that over a period of time of playing games and getting games for Christmas. Those two things being sort of stuck together really do help. When on the subject of talking about gaming, those memories. God, that all came out almost like Yoda speech, didn't it? What I'm trying to say is like the nostalgic memories of retro gaming for me are very much linked to Christmas, as I'm sure it is for a lot of people. Is that sort of joy of getting a new device, whether it's a computer or games console. Back in the 80s here in the UK, I would suspect it was more likely to be a computer. You know, whether it was a Spectrum or an Amstrad or a Commodore, all good fun, enjoyable, and that excitement for me. I always liked electronic goods, electronic things. There was a company back in the 80s called Grandstand, and they made these little electronic devices. You know, these electronic devices that you played. They were like little, like tabletop arcade games. They were like little tabletop arcade games that I had one called Scramble. They did Astro Wars, which it was funny really. My cousin had the Astro Wars one, and I played that, and that was the one I really wanted, that I asked for. My mum and dad got me Scramble because they said there was more to the game. You know, like there was different levels and stuff to that one, which I suppose they were right, but it wasn't like as sophisticated as a Game Boy. It was just lights, in like the shape of a little mini, like the top of a mini arcade cabinet. I remember that. I loved that game. I wish I still had it. Again, it was very simple, but I actually was able to complete it. I used to play that game so much that I completed it. I guess what they would call it these days is the kill screen, although it didn't kill it. I went through, I think there was like 5 levels, and it was just like the same set of screens, but they got more and more difficult. And I was able to get it, and I just remember at the bottom, it would display like where the score was. It would display three H's. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? I remember my sister saying happy half hour. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, it's just memories like that. Absolute blast playing it. It was so much fun. It was such a good time really for getting into electronics and stuff like that. You know, that era where everything was new and everything was starting out and people were really just starting to get into electronics. And that 80s era was so exciting. You know, stuff like, even like your hi-fi. I remember going from what was just like a cassette player with one speaker on it to getting my first mini system, or MIDI system as it was called. And that had a turntable on it, twin cassettes, a CD player, a radio, big massive speakers on this thing. It was great. You know, in that era, it was just, like I say, it was just the sheer excitement of being into gaming and being into gadgets of that era. And the fun and the excitement and the discovery. I think there's a lot of that's been, it feels like a lot of that's been lost today. I mean, just Like the advent of CDs, for example. I remember when I got that MIDI system, and I started to collect CDs. I've got hundreds now. Hundreds. I love music. And the clarity of sound. I mean, I think I've said before, nothing beats a really top of the line turntable, an amp, and a top of the line amp and great speakers when it comes to vinyl. Well, I mean, you know, in a MIDI system back then, it was pretty functional. The turntable, sorry, was pretty functional. It was still decent. It worked well. It sounded good, but you always had the sort of scratching and, you know, the hiss. And when you got that clarity with CD, you know, to the untrained ear, as it was when I was a kid, it was great. It was it was like a quantum leap. There's no scratching or hissing or whatever that the stylus was picking up on a record. CDs were these little amazing, you know, small discs. I mean, that's what it is, compact disc. You still had to look after them though. They still could get scratched if you were careless, but they were a bit more robust than vinyl. It was something just immensely satisfying as well. I had these big old headphones that I'd plug into my hi-fi and just lie on my bed listening to a CD and like reading the inlay, following the lyrics along on the CD inlay. Sometimes they would have, you know, just like general information. And I used to just love doing that, you know, at night. Just turning the lights out in my room and just laying there and just listening to music. With video games, this is going to end up being an ode to physical media, I'm telling you now. I can feel this is where this is headed. But like with video games, it was just you're waiting for the game to load. You had the loading music as the game was loading, and I would sit and I'd read the instructions. You know, they were fun back then. Some instruction manuals would have stories, background story, because games really didn't have much in the way of cutscenes. There wasn't the available resources to waste on doing cutscenes. So many games back then, the story was in the instruction manual. You might get like a wall of text on the screen, but it wasn't like today. I mean, bloody hell. Today it's like an interactive film in some cases. Back then it wasn't. So your story was usually contained in the instruction book. And even like the controls by today's standards back then were very simple. Joystick had one fire button. You get joysticks that had multiple fire buttons, but they all did the same thing. It was a singular recognized input on a computer, and the more complex games would require you to press keys on the keyboard. You know, for the most part though, it was all done on a joystick. You know, if you were playing like a flight sim, or you're playing something like Elite, or like Ghostbusters, I remember that. I remember you having to press the B key to drop the ghost bait when there was a Marshmallow Man alert. I tell you what, trying to do that on the C64 Mini by calling up the on-screen keyboard, that's a laugh. That is where having the fully functional keyboard would be advantageous, but it was certainly a laugh. But yeah, I've always been a big advocate for physical media. Told you we were going this way. I've led us purposefully. And it's just because it's the satisfaction of having a collection of something you can look at that's tangible. You know, something that you can touch, you can physically handle it. I think it's a very human thing. We are tactile creatures. Touch is one of our senses, and it's very important. There's something to that. Physical stuff, like, you know, whether, I mean, it was vinyl. I used to, you know, always handle the vinyl record by, you know, with my fingertips on the outside of the vinyl, never touch the actual vinyl itself. The same with CDs. I was, you know, talking about this in a previous video, the discipline of owning something to look after it. You know, even with stuff like that from an early age, it was always important. And the real sort of weirdness was I did go through quite a few joysticks that got broke in my time. But, you know, it's one of those sort of weird contrasts, isn't it? But just stuff like that, music, and on into CDs. And I think as I got a little bit older, like today, I try and look after my stuff, you know, as best as possible. You know, I'm always cleaning my PC and cleaning my consoles, cleaning the controllers, you know, making sure the dust doesn't build up on them. Sort of cleaning any gunk that might build up with usage. You know, making sure like I've always said, my game discs live in two places. All my physical media is either in the box or in the device being used. I don't even leave discs in devices that when they're not being used. It's just, again, I guess it's just something that come with that kind of discipline of looking after things. I've got records that, you know, I've had since like probably the late 70s, maybe early 80s. Still got them in a record case stored away. Just how I like to have my stuff. And I think these days there's an even greater value to it now. Good Lord, I've looking at the price, physical media prices for stuff like films and music are going up quite considerably. And one of the things which is also annoying is we're getting people now buying up huge quantities of these things when they're released and then selling them off on eBay or selling them back. I mean, I wanted to get the Jaws 4K 50th anniversary off Amazon. You can't get it. I can't get it. Somebody's selling a copy of it on there for over £600. This is ridiculous. And I hope that person never sells the disc. And if they've got a number of them, I hope they don't sell a single copy of it. It's, you know, that infuriates me. Because they didn't buy it to watch it. I want to watch it. I want to enjoy it. I want to watch, you know, a film that I love from my childhood. I want to watch it in 4K. So the only chance you have now is to get this stuff when it comes out. I think these online companies need to stop it. You know, if somebody's buying more than a couple of copies, no, ban it. Ban it. I'm all for the ban hammer coming down on people that do that. I just say, no. Make it inconvenient for them and they'll stop. Make it so that, you know, you can only have 2 copies of something shipped to an address. And that's it. Anything more, no. They will try to find ways around, but a lot of it is convenience. The moment you make things really inconvenient for people, that's the moment where they stop. And I'm all in favour of that. Because they're ruining it, as usual. Greed, ruining things for others. And unless companies put their boot on the head of these people, they'll continue to do it. I mean, it's not in Amazon's best interest, because somebody's making a huge amount of profit if they sell it. I hope they don't. I hope they end up in a load of shit. And I hope they end up having to sell it at its recommended retail price. But there's a certain part of it is down to us. Refuse to buy. I am. I really want this thing, but I'll wait for however long it takes. I'll wait. I ain't paying that. I'm not paying more than the recommended retail price for it. I will find a place. I'll find a shop that sells it. I'll find a company online that sells it at the recommended retail price, and then I'll buy it. But I will never give money to a scalper for nothing. I didn't do it with the PS5. I didn't do it with the Switch. I didn't do it for the Xbox Series X. I didn't do it for anything. Never done it. The scalpers will get nothing out of me, ever. I will go without. And unfortunately, it just seems to be something that's happening. I was watching a video on YouTube. Somebody was interviewing Marco Peroni. He was the guitarist and co-songwriter for Adam and the Ants, later on with Adam Ant and other bands as well. Worked with Susie and the Banshees for a while. Anyway, and the guy was showing him a special edition vinyl of Kings of the Wild Frontier. Now, I have the original vinyl pressing, the original run. Sorry, not the original vinyl pressing, but the original run of that album. I got when I got it for my birthday when I was a little kid. I was, what to say? And anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, this guy gets the vinyl. He's got hold of a copy of the vinyl reissue. I've got the first run issue of Kings of the Wild Frontier. It came with a magazine at the time, like a little booklet came inside of it. I think it was called the Ant Catalogue or something. Anyway, it had pictures of them from the early days in there, and also like information on the band and all of that kind of stuff. Don't know how much it's worth these days, but I wouldn't sell it. I'd have been like 6 years old, I think, when I got that. I think that came out in 1980. So I've got that on vinyl. He was saying how much he paid. I can't remember how much he paid, but it was a lot of money for this reissue special vinyl edition. And he was saying that people had been buying up large amounts of these to sell them on eBay at inflated prices. And it's ridiculous. It harms commerce, because what that does, it drives people away from using legitimate sources online. You know, so if you can't buy these things off Amazon, if you can't buy these things off HMV online or whatever, if you can't do that, then people will stop using those places. You are actually driving people away from physical media. People will just go, sod it, I'll get the digital version, which doesn't have a limited stock. All right, you're not getting the stuff that's with it. But if it's just the music that you're after, then that's what people will do. They're killing physical media, and then by extension, they're cutting their own throats. But greedy people don't tend to be the brightest. They don't tend to be the brightest button on the shirt. You know, I've discussed this before, it's short-termism, and that's always going to lead to ruin. And it's not, you know, short-term stuff is not, it's not selective. It's quite generalised in how it works. So, how are we doing? I think we'll call it in a minute. I'll just go round and I'll call it, I think. But yeah, they were just my thoughts on the whole thing with physical media, and just, it's a completely all over the place ramble, really, in all honesty. We'll see. But no, I always prefer physical media. I like having a collection of stuff. I like having tangible assets, as it were. I like having something that I can, you know, look at. I just, yeah. It's getting quite busy in here. It's definitely time to call it, I think. I'll get back and crack on with this. Try and edit it and upload it and what have you. See what I can salvage out of the ramblings from today. And again, just to reiterate, I'm not sure about the frequency of stuff going up at this time of the year. It's a little bit difficult to plan. I can't really go off the weather either, because we were told that it was going to be, at the end of the week, it was going to be, the weather was going to do heavy rain, which hasn't happened. And then it was like It's going to be raining this weekend. Well, I mean, obviously, the weekend is still something in action, but even so. So yeah. I'm hoping, to get something out, but like over the next couple of weeks. But it's just going to be weather and time permitting. Probably more weather really, because I'll come out in the morning and do these. Sort of, I'm out for about an hour. Because it's not like I hit the record button, when I leave home. I travel to the lane and I walk down. I walk to this park and then travel back home. So, it's not like you just leave the house and cross the road and you're here. No, far from it. But I enjoy doing these. I think I've said it before. I do enjoy doing these. I do enjoy this. So we'll call it, I think. I've got 40 odd minutes on here, plus about 5, so it's about 50 minutes recorded footage, and once I've edited it all down, I'll get it uploaded. So you all have a great weekend. As I say, I will endeavour to get stuff up out on my walks. Yeah, have a great weekend, and I will see you all when I see you next. So thanks for watching, guys, and have a good weekend.